Yeah, I think today, Tom, it helps if you get two decisions that should go for you. They're two big decisions, and that's the reality in big games. We've come here, we've had 63% possession, we've dominated the ball, we've moved Chelsea into only being able to counter-attack really, and yet we've come away having got into the box twice, and they're 2 penalties. And that's the reality. 2 penalties in a game like this are massive. And when I look back over the balance of the last few games, that Chelsea get a goal that's offside the other day. So these are decisions that will make and break where you finish in the table. And we say it balances out. I'm hopeful that we see it. But the reality is, in that game today, we should have had 2 penalties.
Did the official say anything to your half?
We're still awaiting conversation. We're still awaiting.
Just away from the penalties briefly, you seem to be playing quite a high line. I wondered, given the nature of the goal Sam Kerr scored, do you have any regrets about how high the back forward?
No, the reality is, Tom, it's a switch-off moment from us. Sam's really good at invading the back line. It's all we've spoken about all week. It's something we won't be happy with when we look at it. There are different ways to deal with that. But the reality is, if you don't play a high line in that moment, then your team, they just come and play in front of you and then go through you anyway. So the reality is, one long ball should be able to be dealt with, and that's something we have to learn from.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, mate.
You've lost this game as a consequence of what you say to be 2 bad decisions. So what can be done about to improve the quality of the referees? It seems to be every other week that this conversation seems to crop up.
Yeah, and I haven't really mentioned much this season about it, but they're stonewall in my opinion. When I watch them both, the reality is, there are the same incident, especially the aerial challenge, where it happens in midfield and it's given as a foul. So I'm like, what? I just don't get the difference. So the reality is, we have to invest. We have to invest in the officials. We have to make sure that they can have that. We have to invest in the surrounding technology that can help. But I just hope, I'm not going to say much more because you can tell my frustration with that. But actually, we've come to Chelsea and it was much different. Last year when we played here, they were better second half and we were better first half. We've been better, barring that goal that we need to be better at. And then some counter-attacks. We've dominated, we've tried to progress. So we've come to the champions' home ground and put our stamp on it. So you need those things to go in any game if you want to win games like this. Right. There we go. Sorry, Graham.
Right. Obviously, the girls put into that today. There's 2 decisions, like you say, that have gone against you, and I think a lot of people felt that we'll agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But how are the girls? Because obviously it's a tough defeat to take, and then the decisions as well on top of that.
Yeah, that'd be fuming. Like, you put a lot of energy, a lot of effort into the training in the week, how we're trying to progress. You can see our progression as a team. We're coming here without fear. That's different. That's a different Manchester United. And when you need things to go your way, especially even if one of them, they're 2 stonewalls, but if one of them go our way, it's a different game. And then Chelsea are out, because if Chelsea go up there and they're able to stop and counter, to delay time, and Anne's brilliant at that. I had Anne at Birmingham, she's brilliant at that. So they just tried to take this thing, but we were still on, they were still rocking. And we have to be more ruthless, by the way. That's not just solely blaming that. We have to be more ruthless in their box as well. But yeah, look, it's part of the game, and if we play that game again, we don't lose it.
You made a couple of changes towards the end, sort of changed the shape by bringing on Aoife. What was your thoughts behind it? Was it just push up the wing back? So
yeah, reality was we went into 3 at the back with Progressor, and then we moved another forward, so we went 4 forwards on the pitch at the very end, with Hannah coming into midfield. Reality at that point was to chase the game, to play a little bit more direct. But sometimes the last one was a gamble, the other one was an adaptation to shape based on what they gave us, which was Sam Kerr solely running and counter-attacking, and everybody else deep block. So, but that's what Chelsea wanted. As soon as they get ahead, they're pretty good at that, and obviously saw the game out.
One of the things that people like about the women's game is the lack of histrionics around the referee and so on. But in both those 2 cases, if the referee is surrounded by players screaming for a penalty, do you think you're more likely to put it?
I'd like to say no, but you know my answer then, don't you? And I don't think that's the right way to go. I just think it's the header, the one where it goes for an aerial challenge, the linesman's right there. I'm like, what are we not seeing? What are we not connecting? I don't want the game to be about the refereeing decisions, but it actually is in this case. You know, we can be better in the box. And by the way, we'll always look at us first. But I mean, if we surround it and get it, is that good? But then if you get it, you're probably feeling like, oh, it was worth it then, and you're rewarding a bad behaviour, right? And that's where we're at currently. I don't want to come into here and talk about this, but it's the factors in the game that if we get one of those, well, then we're up in the game. So it's really frustrating, really frustrating.
Aside from the decisions themselves, is it quite difficult when something like that, both of them go against you just before half time as well? Because then there must be a sense of things going against you. Like, I know you don't want the players to think that, but I guess you can't help but think that in that scenario. You
have to definitely address it within your team. Talk at half time. We have to talk about, look, it's going against you. You need to dig deeper. But we shouldn't be put in that position. Whereas these are they're clear decisions for me. There's clear lateness on the tackle. There's a clear push and run, and then it's the same happened. No disrespect in the Arsenal game, where she goes in the box and Kadeisha brings her down and it's a penalty, but doesn't get it. Caitlin Ford. These are the same things. These things need to be picked up. These are obvious. If they're not obvious, we'll swallow the medicine and get on with it. But these are obvious. But it does affect the way you have to address your team, because we're good at. We've learned this year about our resolve and our resilience. So we learnt more. And you saw that second half. We didn't crumble. We went back and we took it on to Chelsea on the front foot. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult. We have to address it. We shouldn't have to address it. We shouldn't have to. Not in big games. Not when we go on to this stage and these are big for what the league looks like in the next 8 games. That's huge decisions.
When you're up against Chelsea, you have to be 100%. Leah Galton and Ella Toon didn't get enough on the ball today. Why was that?
I mean, we tried to get Leah in the game first half. There were moments where we have to be braver between the lines to play that ball that they get into. Tooney gets into great positions. We've got to play her. She will still need to continue to learn and develop and get into the right space. We need to threaten the back line a little bit more. I think that was what we were trying to do, but there's a little bit of a disconnect between the receiving of the ball behind the back line, because we could have invaded Chelsea's back line a lot quicker. So I think it was just a little bit of that. And apart from that, look, Chelsea were in a block, so it's hard to get past them at times. But reality is, once I watch it back, I'll know the full answer.
In the 90th minute, you said that was to play more directly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, would you have made that change earlier?
Not necessarily, because you make the change if you're not in position on the field to progress. We're in position. Chelsea are deep block, so it doesn't matter if you put another forward up earlier. We've got possession, so we're asking now the quality to be created and create the moments. But no, there's no need to do that. That's the last one where last part of the game, you're going to put 4 on their back line, and you're then going to try and look to see if you can get a little bit of luck somewhere. Okay.
Commiserations, Mark.
Thank you.
Defeat United goes second now. Just a quick question in terms of the fullback pairing of Ona and Hannah. They were quite important today, getting forward defensively. But also Nikita Paris, you brought her back in after last week's win. What was the reason behind that? I think defensively she was supporting her fullback. She switched to the left, she switched to the right, and overall she came off. I think it was about the 80th minute when you took her off. What was the decision to start her today?
It's a good question. I thought Martha had been doing well the last couple of weeks, and what I felt that Nikita gives us is not only an intelligence on the field in terms of defensively, but also she gives you a bit of bite. She's got a bite in her character, and so it was the right game to bring her in today, and I felt that she did an excellent job of pressing, recovering. With the ball, she was aggressive, should have had a penalty. So I was pleased with her today, and that's the whole reason. When Nikita doesn't play for a little bit and then she comes in, she's got that personality, and that's exactly why I put her in today. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay, we'll wrap it there. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Thank you.